I've been scrolling through TikTok lately and I see a lot of posts by atheists that say, I don't believe in God. Prove to me that God is real. And I don't argue with theology. I don't try to prove to anybody anything. That's between them and God. But it got me thinking. So I've watched several of people's lives that are discussing this, and I realize a common denominator. Their argument against the belief in God is based on what Christians have told them, based on what Christians have done, based on what how Christians have treated them. And it goes back to my purpose. Why am I doing this? Why am I here? Am I just here to start crap? Am I here just to spew my theology and get you to believe what I believe? No, I don't care if you believe what I believe. It doesn't bother me at all that you don't believe what I believe. I don't need you to. But I found a lot of people, mainly Christians, have to have you believe what they believe. And if you do not believe what they believe, you are wrong. And they will make sure you know that what you're doing is wrong. And so I came up with the term Pharisaical Christians and Biblicans. The concept is pretty simple, and they're pretty much the same thing, Pharisaical Christian and Biblican. But Biblican's easier to say, and I'm part redneck, so I need something easier to say. Jesus judged the Pharisees pretty harshly, and he called them out when they were being idiots, or when they would question him and try to attack him and antagonize him. He didn't judge them because they didn't recognize he was the Messiah. That's what I hear a lot of Christians say. That would be true if Jesus said who people say he is from the very beginning. For the first couple of years, he actually told people when he had healed them, hey, don't tell anybody. He didn't want the notoriety. He just wanted to love people. He knew it wasn't time. But the Pharisees hated what Jesus was doing because it went against their interpretation of what their religion said, or what the Torah said. Healing on the Sabbath. Oh, you're not supposed to heal on the Sabbath, but you can, take care of your sheep, like take them to water or heal them if something's wrong or if they're stuck. You can heal them, but you don't heal people. And that goes back to my problem with Christianity. Not Jesus. I don't have a problem with Jesus. I think Jesus said some very God-given natural truths that other religions actually talk about. Other belief systems actually say the same thing. Love people. But my problem is a lot of Christians are the new Pharisees. They're the new, you have to do it this way. If you don't believe it in this way, then you're wrong. Or the Biblicans, oh, well, this Bible verse says this. But they forget about all the other stuff because it's all about picking and choosing what you believe, what you want to go after. I've done a lot of research and studying of the Bible, but not just of the Bible, like going into the Bible and research. I've studied the politics behind the Bible. I've studied Christianity in its first 300-400 years and how it was so spread out, so diverse, I should say, at the beginning when Jesus died. People were not getting along with each other because people would say, I'm right and you're wrong. I mean, there was a huge sect that said Jesus was not a divinity. He was not divine. And there was some that said he was. There's arguments everywhere. And what that's saying, I'm not saying that modern Christians are wrong. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, even back then, they didn't know. Look at the oldest scripts we look at to say that Paul wrote the 2/3 of the New Testament. They're not actually based on Paul's literal writing. They're based on other people's because it's 200 years. Their scripts are like in 200, I want to say around 200 AD, which is after Paul died. So Paul couldn't have wrote something when he was dead. It was people that transcribed other things that were said. It wasn't a direct thing. And that's not saying it's wrong. It could be word for word what Paul said. But what it does say is that you can't judge people because their experiences taught them this. What they've learned taught them this. People want to judge other people because they don't believe in the same flavor of Christianity. But what's very strange to me is if I never said I was a Christian, these people wouldn't attack me. They wouldn't say anything to me. There are more divisions of Christianity than there are religions of the world. Christianity is like 2.1 billion people believe in Christianity, are Christians, call themselves Christians. But there's over 34,000 denominations of Christianity. That means different beliefs, different interpretations. And that's just going based on the organized interpretations. My experience with Christians has not been a good one at all. It's amazing I ever found Jesus and listened to him or the words that he had said instead of listening to other people. Because growing up, Christians did nothing but try to get me to become a Christian. They didn't care about how sick I was or whether I was dying, whether I was being abused at home. They didn't care about that. They never even asked, but it was obvious. But they never even asked. And becoming closer to Christians, you would think that my experience would have changed because now I see it from a different perspective. I recently had an injury that was so pronounced that I was literally losing the ability to walk. And I was a member of a particular men's ministry that was pretty large, really large. And I went to certain higher ups, very, very higher ups, and told them about that. But let's backspace a little bit. They lectured me because I said Jesus is a badass and I shouldn't say that. And that's what they cared about. Even though I've literally heard them use the words, that dude's a fucking douche. You can say that. But you can't call Jesus a badass, even though in the context, badass is a very good thing, especially if you grew up as Trailer Park Joe. You know what a badass is. Most people understand what you're saying when you call somebody a badass. But let's judge. But let's go forward a little bit. When I was injured, I explained that, hey, I'm about to have surgery. I'm not going to be able to work for 8 months. Not one of them ever called me. Not one of them ever checked on me and seen anything was wrong. I was desolate. I'm still having troubles. We're struggling. I didn't get any help from them. Most of the help I get are people that don't even know me. And I hate being in this situation. And I'm not complaining about my personal situation, but that's a situation a lot of people have. That's why people are getting away from Christianity. That's why people are saying, I don't believe in God, because if God is the way you say he is, based on who you are, then how can there be a God? That's sad to me. It really breaks my heart. Not because they're not Christian. It's because they gave up on faith because some Christians want to be assholes and Pharisaical Christians and Biblicans instead of doing the one thing Jesus said, love everybody. Don't jump out there and say, hey, you're wrong because I don't believe in what you believe, so I'm going to publicly say you're wrong, even though it was Jesus that said it, not Paul. For some reason, I was thinking Paul said it. I don't want to mislead anybody. If you want to be a biblical scholar, Paul literally said, don't do that. If you have a problem with your brother, go to him in private. If that doesn't fix it, take it to your church. If that doesn't fix it, just move on. But that's not what people do. They publicly oust you. Well, I'm here to tell you that is not Christianity. That's not the way Jesus was. So don't judge Jesus because the way Christians are. I'm not saying all Christians. I won't even say most or a few. Some Christians, a lot of Christians, are that way. And it's wrong. It says more about your ego than it says about Jesus. Because Jesus didn't do that. And Jesus did oust the Pharisees. He called a Roman soldier a fool. He called the Pharisees a brood of vipers. And I will publicly state the Pharisees, the Christian Pharisees, the Pharisaical Christians, the Biblicans, are hurting more people than they're helping because they care more about the law, the 1611 version of the Bible law. I mean, it's not a law, but they'll call it a law. You need to be this way. No, you just need to love people and don't be a dick. Simple as that. And if you studied Christianity long enough, and you study the Bible long enough, and you study the making of the Bible and the scripts, you realize it's a very complicated thing. It's amazing Christianity made it. But who's right? Who knows? All you can do is have a relationship with God, seek out your own salvation, look through what you can with what you can, and test it for yourself. If you believe in that way, fine. If it makes you a better person, great. Don't let people bully you, because there are a lot of Christian bullies out there. And I will die on this hill. I don't care if I'm the only one on it. I don't need Christians to believe what I believe. I don't need atheists to believe what I believe. I don't need Muslims, Buddhists, Taoists. I don't care. Hindus, whatever. Believe what you want to believe. Zoroastrianists, go ahead. I don't need you to believe what I believe. And I'm not going to believe what you believe. Because we've all had different interpretations of our own experiences and education. I was told very directly by every single Christian I talked to, what's the difference between Christianity and other religions? It's a personal relationship with God. So if it's a personal relationship, it's not your relationship. It's my relationship. So stay out of it. Just love people. Don't be a dick.